Hello everyone, this is your Professor Kendrick Rowe, and wanted to take a time today to go over how to properly quote poetry for this course. So what you want to do is first find the poem from your textbook. I have your textbook here, and the poem that I'm going to look at today is the Carlos Williams poem, Landscape with the Fall of Icarus. So you can see right there is the poem that I'm going to be using and quoting from today. The next thing you're going to want to do is go to the Purdue OWL website, and this is the website I'm at here. You've heard me refer to this several times, I'm sure. So you're going to want to come to this page and then click on Formatting Quotations. And here is where it's going to give you the information on short quotations and long quotations. First thing we're going to do is a short quotation. So in order to determine which you have, it says right here, is a short quotation is fewer than 4 typed lines of prose or 3 lines of verse. So since we're talking about poetry here, you need to have less than 3 lines, or 3 lines of verse or less, in order for it to be a short quotation. So what you do here for a short quotation is your quotation needs to be within the text that you're writing. So here's an example of a poetry quotation. It says, Cullen concludes, of all the things that happened there, that's all I remember. And so what they do is they put their quotation in quotation marks, and then whenever there's a line break, you put a slash. And it explains it right here, that you put a slash for a line break in a poetry. Line breaks are very important to understanding the poem, and so that's why we include it into the text. And then they have their in-text citation here, as well as their punctuation. So how that would look in the example from the Carlos Williams here is I have it typed out, so this is a short quotation. I have Williams writes, according to Bruegel, when Icarus fell, it was spring. This is the quote I will use for my short quote demonstration. So what I've done here is I've taken the first 3 lines of the poem that I discussed earlier. I put it in quotation marks. I used the same punctuation as the poet used, as well as indicating the line breaks with a slash mark. So just as it said in the Purdue OWL page. So that's our short quotation, and then you end that with your in-text citation, which is the author's last name and the page number from your textbook. Okay, moving on to a long quotation. So what you do here is a long quotation is anything over 3 lines of verse that you're quoting. So if you have a long passage that you'd like to quote, or an entire poem, a lot of ours are very short, so maybe it's an entire poem. So here it says, when citing long sections, more than 3 lines of poetry, keep formatting as close to the original as possible. So you're going to want to include the spacing, you're going to want to include the different punctuation, capitalization. And what you do here is you introduce the quote here, and then you indent, so you block indent this quotation that you're using. And then you put your in-text citation afterwards. So what that would look like for the Bruegel poem, or for the Williams poem, is here. So what I have is another quote type would look like this. According to Bruegel, when Icarus fell, it was spring. A farmer was plowing his field. Then I have my in-text citation. So I've kept this as close as I can to how he's written it and how it's been published in our textbook. And then what you want to do is, instead of indenting here, because you'll want to frame your quotation, you'll want to introduce it, and then you're going to want to summarize it at the end, is I do not indent this part because it's still part of the previous paragraph that we're talking about. So we go, this is a prime example of a long quotation because it's longer than 3 lines of verse. So that's how you would do it. You would not indent here, but make sure you do block indent for long quotation. And you do not use quotation marks. The indentation denotes the quotation, where the quotation begins and ends. So that's that. If you have any other questions, feel free to give me a call, or to email me or call or post on the discussion board. But once again, this Purdue OWL page is very informative for any of your quotation questions that you have, or if you can't remember everything I said in this video, this is a good reference for you to look at. So thank you so much, and I look forward to reading your essays. Thanks.